I think it's instructive for an investor that's thinking about whether they want to allocate to Bitcoin or whether they want to allocate to equity to consider the difference.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have Bitcoin bull Michael Saylor discussing the risk of investing in Bitcoin and other forms of perfect money. He emphasizes the challenges that equity shareholders face when investing in traditional companies. He uses the example of Disney and its various struggles internally, as well as technological threats and external crises like the 2019 pandemic. Saylor argues that these challenges are not unique to Disney and that many other companies have similar stories of carnage and anxiety for shareholders. Let's check out the latest interview with Michael Saylor as he gives insight into how Bitcoin will solve many of these problems and actually reduce the risk for investors. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content we do here. Let's get right into the video.
If you look at the history of Disney, and I suggest people study the history of Disney, they're a great example of every kind of this risk. The shareholders lost a huge amount of money when Frank Wells in a helicopter skiing accident. The number 2 guy at Disney, helicopter skiing, and it creates billions of dollars of damage, an unlucky event. The CEO, Michael Eisner, goes to war with their most talented executive, Jeff Katzenberg. Billions of dollars of damage because they couldn't get along because Wells was in a helicopter skiing accident. Eisner has a heart attack in the hospital. He forms a relationship with Michael Ovitz and brings in a new president who isn't successful and isn't suited. Billions of dollars of damage is done. Ovitz goes on and makes a lot of decisions which create billions of dollars of more damage. Eisner fires Ovitz, billions of dollars of more damage. Disney is threatened by Pixar and computer animation technology. And so they have to do a deal with Pixar. And then Eisner gets in a war with Steve Jobs. Billions of dollars of damage in that war. Eisner is fired. Billions of dollars of damage. Iger is elevated, and he actually goes and does some pretty expensive acquisitions, acquiring Lucasfilms, acquiring Pixar, but then that sort of works. And then Iger retires, life cycle issue. Bob Chapek takes over. They're faced with the existential threat of streaming video. They start investing huge amounts of money in streaming video, billions of dollars it costs. Chapek, goes through COVID, and during COVID, the cruise lines that I diversified into get shut down. Disney Cruises, disaster. Disney Hotels shut down, a disaster. Disney theme parks shut down, a disaster. Then human resources issues pop up, and Chapek gets in a big fight with Ron DeSantis over Republican cultural, politics. Billion-dollar disaster. Iger decides he wants the job back. They fired Chapek. Billion-dollar disaster. Now Bob Iger is back at age 72. Outside shareholder activist sues the board. This is just one example of carnage and anxiety after another for 25 years. And this is like the successful company. And this is kind of the life of the equity shareholder, just living in anxiety. And every other company has the same story, and they will continue.
Saylor also discusses the idea that Bitcoin represents a form of perfect design because it eliminates many different types of risk and uncertainty that are inherent in traditional companies and products. He uses the quote, "design is perfect when there's nothing left to take away," to illustrate this concept. He then lists the different elements that he would strip away from a traditional company or product in order to achieve this kind of simplicity.
I guess I would summarize with this. There's the famous Saint Exupéry quote, right? The design is perfect when there's nothing left to take away. If I take a company and a product, I take away the product, I take away the board of directors, I take away the CEO, I take away the facility, I take away the nexus, I take away the brand, I take away the employees, I take away all the trading, I take away all the motion, I take away the competitors, I take away all the new ideas. I take away all of the uncertainty and the volatility. I take away the human factors and the life cycle. I take away the life and the death and the aging. I take away the drama. What have I got left? I got Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a company where I stripped away 24 different risks. You want to ruin Bitcoin? Every time you want to come up with a new idea, let's change the protocol, let's do this, let's do that, let's make it better, right? You get Ethereum, right? Ethereum is, I got all these new ideas. They have 10 years worth of new ideas on the roadmap. They have new ideas all the time. This idea, that idea. If you want to convert your commodity, which is money, into an equity, which is technology, you keep injecting new ideas. And the arrogance of humanity is human beings are born thinking that they're bulletproof and indestructible. And for whatever reason, we're all so arrogant, right? 1.7 million years ago, somebody figured out how to run a stone axe factory. And I bet you everybody listening to this podcast, if I dropped them in the middle of the wilderness, they couldn't figure out how to manufacture stone axes and set up a factory and turn out 500 a month. They'd probably all. Yet 1.7 million years ago, people figured it out. They created an economy. They invented all this stuff. And the human race keeps inventing and forgetting and inventing and forgetting and inventing, and they rise to a certain level. So every new generation, age 18 or 22 or 25, they think that they're going to do it better. And therefore, they want to, I could run that company better. I could build that product better. If I was in charge of the city, I could run it better. If I was in charge of the economy, if I ran the football league, if I invented the new game, if I invented the new product, if I was in charge of marketing, everybody thinks they could do it better. And what they don't realize is they have this inventor bias because they invented it. It's their idea. They think it's beautiful and it's a million times better than any other idea. And they have an ignorance. They don't understand all of the ways that it won't be better when it gets introduced. So a corporation, when you're a corporate shareholder, you think by owning a company, you will have something which will outperform Bitcoin. You're going to outperform perfect money. And the only way to outperform perfect money is you have to manage all of the risks I mentioned and outrun the currency debasement rate. You have to manage every single risk and grow more than 7% a year in your working capital. And that's how you outperform perfect money.
Saylor warns that constantly changing the protocol and adding new ideas to Bitcoin could ruin it, as it would convert it from a commodity to an equity. He uses Ethereum as an example of a platform with constant new ideas and warns against injecting some of these new ideas into Bitcoin. Saylor mentions the arrogance of humanity and how people often believe they can do things better than others, even though they may lack the necessary knowledge and experience. He emphasizes the challenges of managing a corporation and the need to outperform the currency debasement rate in order to achieve better returns than Bitcoin or other forms of perfect money. What do you think about this latest interview on Bitcoin with Michael Saylor and the challenges that shareholders face in 2023? Comment down below. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Library of Wealth. We'll see you in the next video.